Hey,
Welcome to Technology Tuesday. Back at you again.
yep.
Greg Russell, drop that video.
Hey, we are back for Technology Tuesday.
That's right, folks. Another Tuesday, another week for Technology Tuesday. And this week, talk about something that's being overlooked now that all of us are working at home more. Internet speed wasn't that much of an issue. Your router, you probably wasn't even on your top priority list. The thing about internet speed do I have? What's my download? What's my upload? What type of router I have? What's even the amount of data I could even download per month? These are probably things that you never even thought about. You just paid the bill. But now that a lot of folks they have more people at home using their internet, their Wi-Fi, downloading more stuff, uploading more stuff, thinking about because we have so many devices now on our plans that impact you when you're streaming live. So Greg
Yep.
was sharing something with me yesterday, and I thought, man, this would be such a great topic to share with Tuesday. So Greg, what were some of the gotchas or things to look out for that you were bringing up in our conversation? A lot of folks should be aware of now that all of us are using our home. Don't
Yeah.
worry, that was okay. That was just a test. That was a test of the emergency broadcast system. I don't even worry about that. I don't worry about that right there. We have a person that is, and that's cool. We're just pressing buttons. So don't even feel bad about it, producer. Don't even feel bad about it. It's all good. No
Hey,
big.
that's how you learn. That's how you
It's
learn. You
all
got to figure
gravy.
it
It's
out.
all
Yep.
gravy. No big deal. You'll still be able to get your dessert tonight, so don't even worry about it. What was the things that you should be looking out for?
Yeah, man. Listen, I think that, and this came across from a client asking me about their modem and router, and so we kind of got into this discussion, and I was sharing with you that most people don't realize how many devices they not necessarily maybe how many devices, but now that you're home, how much more internet you may be using. If a lot of us have been home and we rely on the internet way more than we used to. So we rely on it not only for our internet access, but a lot of us are streaming, many of us are streaming TV and music, and all of that has a way on the internet, the amount of internet used. Not only that, sometimes you have devices that you don't know are being used. For example, we have a refrigerator that connects to the internet to get updates from the manufacturer. It's crazy how many devices we actually use. So there's 3 of us in our household, and at the last time I looked, we were using 11 devices. Like there was 11 things connected to the internet. Maybe not all using it at the same time, but just 11 different devices. So, Jerry, with your household, I don't know, do you know how many devices you're approximately using in yours?
I don't know the exact number, but I would think, well, it could be because I got 4 people with tablets. So yeah, even though they're doing a lot of YouTube video for crafts. It was do it yourself situation.
Yep.
So it's like
Yep.
do it yourself school supplies.
Yeah, and
now they're both
my
into
daughter as well. There's a
crochet.
lot of that. So a lot of times you don't realize how many devices are actually pulling on the internet. And now
Right.
that everyone's home together and not out at school or out at work, then we're using a lot more of the internet. And so sometimes when it comes to your internet plan, there's several different things. how much are you using and how fast are you using it? And this all plays into your broadcast. So if you're going to broadcast, if you're going to stream, like Jerry and I are streaming now, your internet connection has a lot to do with it, because a lot of times internet companies sell you on what they call download speed. We have the fastest download speed. And that's all great and fine when all the people are using the devices and you want your TV to stream smoothly and you want, your music to stream smoothly. But when it comes to streaming, it's a matter of your video signal going up right to the internet for everyone else. So your upload speed is really, really important. And you want to make sure that you have a high enough upload that will be able to handle the internet signal being sent up. And so a lot of people don't really look at upload speed because the internet companies pretty much sell you on download speed.
Right. And I think the reason for that is because most of the entertainment is all about downloading. And also from a consumer perspective, most of the plans, this is my one, were designed not for commercial use, but for personal home consumer. I don't know what the word, but it wasn't for people to be running a business. Those plans weren't designed for you running a business out of your home, but more so consumer as a client for them to get you the entertainment. So your Netflix, your Hulu, your that you stream from, whether it be Cox, Comcast, or Xfinity, or Spectrum. So they're looking at it because most of the stuff that we're doing is we're not sending stuff up all the time. Most of the consumers are trying to down.
Exactly. So there's two pieces to that. There's the actual speed, and there's then actually how much data you're using. So the first thing I want everyone to be aware of is, when the country went on lockdown, all the companies were trying to help, right? They were like, hey, you can have more of this or unlimited that for a certain time. And now that time is coming to an end. And so you need to be aware of, how much data are you using? Are you falling within your plan, or are you going over your plan? Because unlike, like your cell phone, they're not going to text you or nothing. They're just going to send you a bill at the end of it and be like, well, hey, you went over your plan. You use this much data. So I think the first thing to be aware of is how much data you're actually using, and does it fall within your plan?
Right.
That's the first thing. And then the second thing is, and this is what I think a lot of people need to pay attention to, is, are you getting the speeds that you have been sold on? So a lot of times they sell you on a particular download speed or a particular upload speed, and you may not be getting that. So you can test your speed at speedtest.net, and just go there. And the only thing you do is hit the test button, and it'll basically give you your speed. The one thing you need to be aware of is that if you are on a wireless, then anytime you are not connected directly into your modem or your router and you're on the wireless is not going to be able to give you the top speed because it's wireless. So if you want to know the actual speed that you're getting, you need to plug into your modem and do that test and run it from there. Otherwise, you will get a speed, but it won't be the top speed because you're on wireless.
And I think that's a confusing piece right there, Greg. When you see whatever plan you get, whether it be cable or optic line, whatever that might be, you're seeing these numbers. They're like, 56, whatever, or high speed, super deluxe, and flash speed, right? But they're basing that not on Wi-Fi. I think a lot of times when people hear it, they're thinking Wi-Fi speed. That's the speed I have if I'm on the Wi-Fi connection in my house. Not that's the speed I get if I'm plugged that cable directly to the router on my computer. I don't think a lot of folks think of it as two separate things. I always thought when I saw the number, I'm like, oh man, that's the speed. So whether I'm on a Wi-Fi or whatever, I'm getting that speed all the time. Until recently, probably 3 or 4 months ago, that was only the speed I would get if I was actually plugged in to the router.
Yep. And that's an important thing to understand, is that when it comes to the internet, if you're on cable internet, there's different kinds. And for a lot of people who are, getting cable internet, they're basically sharing certain speeds with their neighbors. And if everyone's using it at peak hours, then your speed comes down, and you're again not getting the speed you're paying for, because they can't get everyone that speed all at the same time, even though that's what they are selling it for. So
Right.
you want to check to make sure. Now, if you're on Fios or a fiber optic, then you can basically get a faster speed, because the fiber optic internet does not matter how many people in that neighborhood are on it, because of the way the fiber optics goes, right? So that's the difference between, regular internet, cable internet, and the fiber optic cable. The fiber optic is so much faster, and it doesn't allow for everyone sharing it. It's not going to matter. So there's a big difference. If you can get the fiber optic, it's the best. The other thing that makes fiber optic the best is that the upload and the download are the same. So if you're paying for, let's say it's 50 megabytes of internet download, you're also going to get 50 megabytes of upload. And most people don't realize that when it comes to internet speed, typically you have a download and an upload, and they're drastically different. But the fiber optic is the same, and it's the only one that I'm aware of at this point where the download matches the upload speed.
Right, which is something now, if you're going to be uploading, even if you're not streaming, right? I think it would still matter if you just to any type of platform, because the faster your speed, the faster you can upload your log to whatever platform you're going to be hosting them on, or displaying them on, or sharing them on. So all of that factors in. You think about the size of the files that we're now utilizing. I mean, the file size is a lot larger now that we're using more video than audio. Audio wasn't that big of a deal because the files were never that big. But now video files, you're talking the size, or 10 times the size, depending on what it is, how long it is.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, man. I mean, to give you an idea, for those who understand a little bit about file size, basically, our this show, which is roughly around a half an hour, can be up to a gigabyte of space for just the 30 minutes. So, when you have these high definition cameras, and not even 4K, but 1080p cameras, an hour worth of video is can produce a 7 or 8 gigabyte file, which is extremely large. And so depending on your upload speed, it may take a lot longer for that video to upload. So right. you want to look at that upload speed and and make sure you have one that's going to work, especially if you're streaming. So if you're streaming, and you're sending your video signal up to the computer, and you're doing it at a time where everybody else is using it, what happens is that signal doesn't stay constant. Like, so if you're doing 50 megabytes, you may not always have 50 megabytes. It may drop down to 30 and then come back up, and it's going to bounce up and down. And what happens is, if it bounces below a point where the signal is too slow for it to stream properly, you get two things. You either get the buffering, right, or it stops and disconnects the stream. So I've seen, we've all been experienced when on a live stream and something happens and it cuts out and you have to get back in. And typically that's what happened. The internet signal dropped below to the point where it couldn't sustain the feed any longer. So that's what's happening on the technical end, as the simplest way as I can explain it.
It's almost like like plumbing, and your stream is like water flowing through the pipe. And now if you have more than one person that's into it, it's almost like more like clogging the pipe, or it's like putting holes in the pipe, so like stuff is messing up. And that's the key. I think a lot of us, especially if you live in an area that's more metropolitan, like I live, fortunately, being out in the country, there are not that many people on the internet at the same time, so I luck out. But if I lived in the city, it'd be much more of an issue, because there are more people on top of each other, same service.
Yep.
So now it becomes more of an issue. You get like bogged down.
Yeah, yeah. The other thing is, man, and this is probably the last thing that I really want to cover as far as the internet is understanding the relationship between the internet speed you're paying for and your modem and or router, which can deliver that speed to you. Because I know some people got excited when FiOS and the gigabit speeds first came out, but they weren't able to use those speeds because they couldn't they couldn't they couldn't have their device wouldn't allow them to use that speed. So you can't you have to have a device that's going to be allow you to use those gigabyte speeds. So make sure your modem, if you're going to get a faster internet, can handle it. And sometimes those higher price modems give you a lot more flexibility. Some things the higher price modems / routers can do is they can give you more bandwidth to certain devices. So if you're going to be streaming, you may want to allocate more bandwidth to your streaming computer and than, let's say, maybe the kid's computer, right? So you want to be able to allocate that bandwidth to certain devices. So this is some of the things those other modems can do. But the most important thing to remember is make sure if you're going to get a faster internet connection that your modem can actually bring you that speed. Otherwise, you're wasting your money.
That situation, like I know certain providers provide you with a router, like a tower, right? So you're saying you would have to bypass that and get something else as well, or just as
that depends. Like if the typically the internet service providers are going to provide you with a device that can handle it, and you just need to make sure. If you have your own device, and you need to make sure, but typically they will give you a device that can handle the faster internet speeds, but you just need to make sure.
And that was more specifically fiber optic one, right?
Yes. Yep.
Got it. So there's really a couple things that people have to think about. Their speed, upload and download.
Right.
Number 2 would be your I don't know what the word is for threshold. So how much are you allotted? How much data are you allotted on your phone? A lot of us, because if you think about it in terms of your phone, a lot of people have a plan. They only get a certain amount of data per month.
Right. Exactly.
Check your speed for your upload and download, but then number 2, check your plan to see how much data to see how close you are to that, because as Greg mentioned, you're not getting alerts. A lot of our phones, these phones nowadays, they have a limit that you can set, like send me a message or send me an alert if I'm getting close to my data usage for the month. So you can dial. A lot of times we're not getting that same type of alert, or even looking at the settings. There could be. I know with some providers, ways to control back office controls for your internet that you can control, and you can even shut off certain devices for you. So you might want to be looking into that as well. And then the third part is basically hardware versus software. So even if, which would be the actual service, the internet service, your hardware may not be able to match up to the software that you actually. You check all those components because you want everything to be lining up. With so much focus on the online stage, the virtual stage, with so much focus on looking good online, the thing that people aren't always factoring in is looking at, okay, how do I have my background, looking at their lighting, they're looking at their camera and all that other stuff. But then the thing in which all of it is based off of, because you could have the best camera, the best lighting, the best background, but if your internet speed doesn't match up as you would like to be online. So all these things have to factor in. And this is some of the stuff we're going to be talking about this week. And I were going to be hosting a workshop on Saturday about building your digital stage at your on. If you weren't aware of that, that's going to be this Saturday, August the 1st at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Just go over and check out page.com. You can see how you can get registered there. That's just a weekend class we're doing for about $47, I believe it is. So for the Saturday, we're more than welcome to have you on board for that. But Greg, this conversation is, I think, something that a lot of people just assume that if I have this service, and a lot of folks I know personally, my stuff is kind of bundled together. So cable, you have the internet all tied in together. It's like a second thought. I got the service and bam. So because there's so many things that factor in now that we didn't have to factor in before.
Yeah.
We take we've come a long way. Don't get me wrong. I would agree we've all come a long way since dial-up. That
wow, you said
don't even know about these kids nowadays. Don't even know about. They don't even know that. They don't even know the sound. Like they don't know the sound.
Man, yeah, like I remember. I think when I was excited, we got it was 14.4. It was like the big thing to get a 14.4 modem, and that's for those who understand, that's 14.4 megabits. Like that's as fast as the modem would go. It's 14, and now they're talking about gigabyte speeds, which is like 140 times that, right?
Wasn't even heard of. Like we had to make it. We're talking about. I'm using too much data. Before we had to make a decision, like, am I going to be on the phone or I got to be online? Am I going to miss a phone call? Or so we've come a long way, but in that luxury that we're experiencing, business side. So this is for those of us who are not thinking about it from a entertainment perspective, but from a business perspective. You positioned with your home tech, because now we got to think about that. If you're going to be doing more at home, because you're now becoming your own support person, essentially, you don't have your IT. Maybe you do have an IT department. Most of us probably don't. So you got to factor in these things. And I think most of this information is found right on there correctly, if I look at it. Or you can look it up online based on your provider's website and just see, or even call them on the phone. Call them and just what's my speed? Well, you can check your speed yourself with the speed test. That speed test is just something that a lot of people and it's speedtest.net. Isn't that correct, Rick? Speedtest.net.
Yes, that's correct. Speedtest.net. And you'll be surprised, man. A lot of these companies, they'll sell you on one speed, but you won't get that consistently. And something you can do is you can call them on it. You can be like, "Hey, I'm not getting it." And if you keep, it's a time, you're gonna be on hold and deal. But at the same time, if you keep pestering them about it, they'll either going to give you more speed, or you can get some refund or a month free or something like that. Depending on how much you're paying a month for internet, that may be something that's worth your time.
Right.
But a lot of times that and they know they can test it, and you can test it. And if you consistently show them, hey, I'm I'm not getting it, then you can that's something you can really push them to either increase your speed or to give you a discount.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I think it's basically inspecting what you expect. Let's just take it for granted. We have a plan, but we don't ever, because we never really exhausted the possibility, never tested it out before. You never pushed the boundaries of the plan before. And this was a conversation I was actually having before we started talking about it yesterday. This was a conversation with someone last week, because I was thinking, where do we go from here as more people start to work from where do we go in terms of how much speed are people going to be required now to increase their plans usage so they don't get the overage? Because the overage is where it bites you. Like, it's almost like people haven't felt this in a while. Like, went over their minutes. We haven't gone over our minutes in like a long time, because most of us have unlimited minutes. But back in the day, it's like, man, I can only call you on the weekends. Call you after 7. I'll call you after 7 when I got my nights and weekends free. And this is just a new awareness, a new level of awareness that you want to have. usage. So every week, folks, we're going to be coming with you with new ideas, new things to think about, new. Our thought process is, again, practical knowledge, practical application, and practical solutions. So some of this stuff may seem like it's stuff that you probably weren't thinking about that we're going to bring to your attention because both Greg and myself are active. We're active. So as we start to come across things that we're discovering, things that we are utilizing, we're just going to bring it to you and share so we all can work smarter and make a big impact. That's what it's all about, folks, as we go forward to make a big impact in this world. With that said, this is Jerry Franklin Poe, Greg Russell. It's been another Technology Tuesday. We'll see you again next week.
Yes, we will see you next week at 2. But hey, don't forget, you want to make sure that you join us this coming Saturday for our workshop that we're having, Your Online Stage, where we'll be sharing with you the strategies and tactics that we use to stream our business online. And we want to make sure you guys get that and get access to that, because I'm going to be sharing my secrets of my studio, my home studio. And there's lots of things, have done this a long time. There is lots of things that I spent money on and where I've later on found much cheaper ways to do it. And I'm going to share with you, hey, I bought this expensive light set over here, but this is what I actually use now because this only cost me $6. And I'll share that with you in the training. So you want to make sure you guys tune into that, because we're going to be dropping all sorts of knowledge so you guys can have a professional broadcasting experience when you go online. So I'll talk to you guys on Saturday. Jerry, thanks for, again, another great show, and we'll talk to you guys next week.